Hi there. Despite the fact that my lighting outside has disappeared, I figured I would make a secondary video to address some of the missing bits, stuff that I forgot to cover in the first video. For example, the necklace here, this design, I'd like to actually try it on completely so you can see how long it is when it's fitted. Okay. There. Buttoned. Sits down here as opposed to up slightly. Let's pop those out. Now, as with all of mine, when I'm actually showing it to you here, I'm usually showing you in minimum sizes. It's actually pretty easy to take the straps longer from here. I just have to undo it a step or two and it'll tassel a little bit. I see, that's a little bit longer. And this same pattern that I'm wearing right here in, say, anklet fashion leaves a slightly longer tassel. I should probably also show you what the other side looks like. This one's a little mashed from being worn as an anklet. They flatten a little bit when you wear them as an anklet. Now, I do recommend the twin loop and button for this one, but if you really insist, we can use the other of the more recommended fastening styles, that is 2 loops and a button. Stick one loop into the other, and stick the button through that, and it locks itself pretty nicely. This fastening style is also available for our bracelets, or anklets as the case may be. This is being shown on the microspine coil, a little experiment that I threw together just now. That's what the tassel is for. I'm not going to cut it because I personally find the longer ones to be more useful. If I were to cut it and singe it right here, this would be 11 feet, but it's actually sized for somebody more like me and not somebody, human-sized. So for actual comparison, I've got a little pop can here. And so you can see it compared to the regular spine coil. I'm going to take mine off. Alright, there. See that if you're a craftsman, you know that this isn't actually very long. I'm a pretty tiny person. There, side-by-side comparison. And it's slightly discolored from being worn for upwards of a year. The actual size difference isn't quite as noticeable until you compare it to the much larger lightning coil. The regular spine coil is my smallest or most compact of the longer bracelets. It's worth mentioning that everything that I'm wearing is 15 feet, with the exception of this one, which is 16 feet. Okay. I should also show you the other anklet, which is a design that I didn't show in the previous one. Stair-stepped interlocked hearts on the one side. Well, that aspect of it is kind of flattened out a little bit there. Bands and rows, and arrows on the other. It's one of my favorites. It's delightfully intricate. Speaking of delightfully intricate, I've also got a couple of the belts here to show off. The first belt that I showed in the previous video is actually purple. It's not blue. You can hardly tell exact colors with this lighting. Much too warm. This isn't actually person-sized either to be used as a real belt. It's only 42 feet. It was just made to hold some spare line that I had laying around. One that actually is person-sized is my Green Lantern belt. These are not actually made in the quick-release style, although they do still come apart far more quickly than the Cobra knot. There's the pattern. And the other side. This is a 10-strand belt. And I've got another 10-strand here, also delightfully intricate. It's a little wobbly, but it settles with time, because this one hasn't been worn because it's tiny. Just made as an example piece, something that I can easily pull out and retie to show off different patterns. Now, those are the two 10 strands that I have on hand, aside from my belt, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I also wanted to show off a pair of the 14-strand example pieces that I have. Here's one side, and the other. These are actually really quick to make. A full belt in any of these styles takes about 8 minutes from the time that I cut the line. Alright, and now to combine these two patterns together, you get this. Isn't that just marvelous? I love the really, really complicated looking ones. It is slightly wider than the regular belts by about that much. There you go. And now that we've gotten to it, we can have a look at mine. You notice it's the same general pattern, it's just with fewer lines. Now, I should also mention that these can have up to 10 colors maximum, but I would recommend you stick to about 5 or less. Both to make less work for me, and also because it just looks noisy if you're using too many colors. Because I don't want to take any of the screw clips off of the belts, I'm going to use the example piece to show you how quickly they come apart. Way better than the Cobra knot. Alright, when I said mine is special, it's actually two different belts. Lines coming off of the same head here. And that's because after we put the one on, the other one, in addition to being in the quick release style, is did a little wrong here. It's meant to hold my tools. And I'll get to the custom cases for tools that I made in a later video, but this one is not for sale without custom sizing, because small as this might look, it's actually 88 feet long. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about while I still have a little bit of time is these sleeve pins that I'm very fond of. It's actually a thinner style like this, done in one color with a bit of extra so I can wrap it around my arm. I'll show you the pattern there. It's the same as my necklace, just there on the other side. And now it's going to cut me off.